So how do you make life fun again? Many people on the grind make life absolutely unfun because they think that fun will diminish their success. If you're anything like me, you want your goal and you don't want anything to get in the way of that. So you will sacrifice everything for your goal, because you've heard that phrase, if you don't sacrifice for your goal becomes a sacrifice. And you want your goal, obviously, right? So you deny yourself the fun that you could have because you think it's going to impact your goals. And I'm not here to give you this gay advice of saying, just meet with your friends once a week, or do this activity, do an adventure or something like this once a week. I'm not here to give you that kind of shit, because I know that shit doesn't work. I know that I wouldn't do it, so I won't recommend it to you, basically. What I think you need is robust success. You don't need another video to tell you to have more fun, because that's absolutely gay. Like, it's gay to say just have fun, because you can't have fun if you think about your goal constantly. What you actually need is robust success, and robust success means that you think that nothing can really impact your work to the point where you can actually start having fun and having activities again. Because what you think right now, if I meet this girl, I will for some reason work less effectively. And that could be true, obviously. And if it is true, you should stop it, because you obviously want to achieve your goal. But your goal should have a higher priority than having fun. But if you are in a place like I was, you need to have fun, because you actually will work better. Like, you don't believe it right now, but you will work better if you have more fun and if you work less. So how do you craft robust success, or what I call robust success? It's basically success that you know that you can have every single day, that you know that nothing will really impact your work that much. How do you do that? You basically have to craft a confidence in yourself, and you have to do the things that you're absolutely afraid of doing. So if you think that, for example, meeting a girl will diminish your success, you should absolutely do it and then win. Because that will give your brain the evidence that it needs, that, okay, I can do this good thing that I know is good for me and that I know is fun, without diminishing my success. Because your brain wants your success as well, but it just wants it safely, right? It just wants it in its little box, in its lane. It doesn't want to go out of it. But if you show it that it can go out of it and it can do the things that are fun for it, like meeting women, eating a snack, right? Getting up late, staying up a little bit later, maybe watching a movie with your family, that it won't diminish your success. It will not diminish your success. And sometimes we, as these goal-driven young men, get so fixated on our goal that we can't really see many other things than it, and that we want it more than anything else, and therefore we forget everything else. And that actually will diminish your goal. I'm here to tell you that if you sacrifice everything for your goal will require everything that you sacrifice for it. But if you say, I want to give you the bare minimum, which is the work I do, I'm not giving you anything outside of it, right? It will only demand what you give it, basically. If you give it everything, it will require everything, and it will be so hard, and it will require the 10 hours of work that you put into it. But if you say, listen, I'll give you 1 hour a day of very good work. It has to be very good work, obviously, right? You're not gonna get to your goal with a trash hour of work. You have to work absolutely effective, and you have to do the work that you know you can do in that hour. So what I'm challenging you to do is do only 1 hour of work for your goals a day, and you will do the thing that will bring you forward the most. And if you're anything that is smart, that is above 50 IQ, you will have a notebook out right now, and you will start writing down all the tasks you have to do, or you do right now, and cross off everything that you couldn't do, that is not as top priority, right? Because if you literally grasp for every single hand and foothold in your goal journey, it will require exactly the effort that you put into it, right? If you want a goal, you will reach it if you work on it long enough, but it will require exactly what you give it. Isn't that crazy? If You think people who work less have the same success as me. How is that possible? It's exactly because of this reason, because it requires what you give it. So if you give it less, I'm not telling you to not work, because if you give it nothing, it will give you nothing in return. But if you give it an hour of high quality work, you will absolutely smash your goal and have fun in the process. So don't think you have to give your whole day away to some goal, or everything in your life to some goal, to reach it, basically, right? You can actually have fun in your life. You just don't know it. You just think that you can't, because you've been told this by all of the people who sacrificed everything for their goal. Everything. And you think it's so cool because it's grind culture, but it's just flat out not true. Your goal will require, I just want to drill this into your head, that your goal will require everything you give it. And if you give it your personal life, your family life, your relationship with your girlfriend, it will require that. But if you just relax and you just calm down and you just see it for what it is, which is, it's just time on earth that you have. Maybe 80 years off, and afterwards it'll be heaven or hell, right? So I would think less about it as this big crazy thing, and more like it's a goal that I have, and I give it what I can, but I will not give it more than it requires, and it will actually take exactly what it requires. And I know that this will seem uncomfortable. Of course, it certainly did for me, but after a certain amount of time, you will just realize that you don't have to do this. You don't have to take the cold showers. You don't have to fucking get up at 5:30 in the morning. You don't have to fucking take supplements for your brain and shit so that you can work better or more. Or you don't have to work 15 hours. You don't have to break up with your girlfriend to do this. You can actually do this with very little time, whatever it is. But it will literally require exactly the amount that you give it. It will require the amount of work, the quality of work that you give it, right? You still have to work with high quality, and you might have to work some hours, right? I'm not saying that there's no work involved. There obviously is. But everything outside of work that you give it, it will absolutely require, right? If you imagine it like a fire that you want burning, of course it needs wood, and of course it needs the heat of the fire, and of course it needs the air that it needs to burn, right? Those three things it needs. But if you start throwing your jacket into the fire because you think, oh, then it'll burn more, right? If you start throwing whatever you can at the fire, of course it'll burn, but it doesn't actually require that. But it will require everything you give it to burn, right? So think about it. Don't just watch this video and think, oh, I'm done. I'm whatever. This guy's a bitch, whatever. But actually think, what are you going to change? Or else you'll have wasted your 10 minutes. So what I give you as an action step is write down every single task you do, and write down what you would do of those tasks if you only had 2 hours a day to work on your goal. And that is the only things you do, and you go all in on those things, and you stop giving it everything outside of that. Because I guarantee you, work, there's this Parkinson's law, right? Work stretches to the amount of time you give it. Basically what I just told you. If you give something that you don't really have to give to your goal, it will eat it up, and it will require that, and it will require you continuing to give that. So you should act out of abundance and not fear of, oh, if I don't throw my cloak in there, it will burn. If I don't throw whatever, myself at some point into that fire, it will not continue to burn. But the reality is that you're just anxious. You're just anxious because you've never actually received what you wanted, and you've only gotten what you have given everything for, right? Just stop giving everything to your goal and start giving what it actually needs. And think about what is actually necessary for me to reach my goal, and you will recognize that it is a lot less than you actually give it.